Every luxury car ad shows you massage seats and leather dashboards. Nobody shows you the repair bill 6 months later. A BMW 7 Series costs $1,166 per year to maintain. But one car on this list costs $551, with the same massage seats, the same air suspension, the same leather, and it'll still be running perfectly at 200,000 miles, while the BMW is on its third visit to the dealer this year. 12 luxury cars, comfortable and reliable. The number one pick will genuinely surprise you. Let's count up. Number 12, Toyota Crown 2023 to 2026. Wait, a Toyota on a luxury comfort list. Stay with me for a second because this is exactly why the Crown is on here. Most people hear Toyota and think Camry, dependable, boring, something your accountant drives. But the Crown is what happens when Toyota's engineers get tired of being called boring and decide to build something that makes BMW owners do a double take at a traffic light. The 2.5-liter hybrid powertrain produces 340 horsepower through all-wheel drive. But here's the thing that matters for this list. It does it in complete silence. The cabin is insulated so aggressively that the hybrid system switches between electric and gas without the driver noticing the transition. The seats are heated, ventilated, and wrapped in Softex premium material. The ride height sits between a sedan and an SUV, which means you step into it rather than climbing up or dropping down. A detail that sounds minor until you do it every day for a year and realize your knees stopped hurting. But the Crown isn't a luxury car in the traditional sense. It doesn't have massage seats. It doesn't have a Burmester sound system. Therefore, it's the entry point on this list. The car that proves comfort doesn't require a luxury badge, just Toyota engineering and a price tag that starts under $45,000. Now, the styling divides people. Some call it bold, others call it confused. And the infotainment feels a generation behind Hyundai and Genesis. But for under $45,000, those are problems most people will happily live with. A Toyota that outcomforts cars costing twice as much. But can you imagine a Honda on a luxury comfort list? The next entry says yes, and it has a turbo V6 that'll make you forget it's built by the same company that makes the Civic. Number 11, Acura TLX Type S, 2021 to 2026. Here's a question. When was the last time someone recommended an Acura and you actually got excited? Exactly. Nobody gets excited about Acura. And that's the entire reason the TLX Type S is one of the best kept secrets in the luxury market. Because while everyone else is busy arguing about BMW versus Mercedes, this car is sitting in the corner delivering 355 horsepower through a 3.0-liter turbo V6 and super handling all-wheel drive for the price of a base 3 Series. The Type S is the car Honda built for the engineer who wanted a luxury sports sedan but refused to pay German maintenance costs. The seats are 16-way adjustable with heating and ventilation. The ELS Studio 3D audio system uses 17 speakers to create a sound stage that audiophiles describe as better than what BMW charges $3,500 extra for. And because this is a Honda underneath, timing chain, naturally aspirated turbo with Honda's proven architecture. The ownership experience past 100,000 miles doesn't involve the slow financial drain that German competitors treat as normal. But the TLX has a problem. The infotainment touchpad is genuinely frustrating to use while driving. Therefore, it's a car you'll love for everything except the one thing you touch every day. Acura knows. They haven't fixed it, and the back seat is tight for adults. So if rear passenger luxury matters, this isn't your car. This is built for the person behind the wheel. Nobody gets excited about Acura until they drive one. The next car is Swedish, built by a company that was designing fighter jets before it ever built a sedan. Number 10, Volvo S90, 2017 to 2026. Most people hear Volvo and picture a boxy wagon driven by a college professor who gardens on weekends. Fair enough. But the S90 is something completely different. A Swedish luxury sedan rides like a meditation session on wheels and was designed by people whose previous engineering challenge was keeping fighter pilots alive at Mach 2. When your company's DNA includes building the Gripen jet, over-engineering a luxury sedan's crash structure isn't ambition, it's restraint. The S90 uses an air suspension on higher trims that transforms broken pavement into a suggestion rather than a reality. The Bowers & Wilkins audio system that developed with the same team that builds speakers for Abbey Road Studios, delivers sound so clean that one reviewer described the cabin as the only car where I've listened to an entire album without skipping a track. The seats are the genuine star. Volvo partnered with orthopedic surgeons to design seats that eliminate pressure points during drives longer than 2 hours. Your back doesn't hurt after a road trip. That sounds like a small thing. Ask anyone over 40. It's everything. The catch? Depreciation hits hard. A $60,000 S90 becomes $25,000 in 3 years, and the 2.0-liter 4 will never give you the effortless pull of a 6. But if you're buying used, that depreciation is your advantage, not your problem. A fighter jet, company's luxury sedan. But what happens when America's most controversial luxury brand finally builds something that actually works? The next car is the answer. Number 9, Cadillac. CT5 Premium Luxury 2020 to 2026. Cadillac has spent the last 20 years trying to convince people it's not your grandfather's car brand anymore. They've mostly failed, but the CT5 Premium Luxury is the car where the argument actually starts working. A genuine American luxury sedan that rides with the kind of composed, confident comfort that makes you question why you were ever considering a BMW in the first place. The magnetic ride control suspension, shared with the Corvette, reads the road surface 1,000 times per second and adjusts damping in real time using magnetoheliological fluid. In plain language, the suspension is filled with liquid that changes thickness based on an electrical current, allowing each wheel to react independently to road imperfections faster than any mechanical system can match. The AKG Studio Reference Sound System produces 19-speaker clarity that Cadillac developed specifically for this platform. And the Super Cruise hands-free driving system on highway miles is genuinely the best in the industry, better than Tesla's, according to Consumer Reports. But the interior materials on lower trims don't match the Germans. And Cadillac dealers are still learning how to treat customers like luxury buyers rather than Chevy customers who walked into the wrong showroom. Therefore, the CT5 is a car where the engineering has arrived, but the ownership experience is still catching up. The weak spot? Resale trails the Germans, and some Cadillac dealers still treat you like you wandered into a Chevy showroom by accident. The car has arrived, the experience is still catching up. America's best-kept luxury secret. Have you ever considered a luxury car from a brand most people refuse to take seriously? The next one faces that exact problem, and it wins anyway. Number 8, Genesis G80 2021 to 2026. Let me ask you something. If two cars have identical features, massage seats, air suspension, premium audio, all-wheel drive, but one costs $58,000 and the other costs $95,000, and the cheaper one comes with a 10-year warranty, while the expensive one gives you 4 years. Which one is the smart buy? You already know the answer. But badge snobbery is a powerful drug, and it's the only reason the Genesis G80 isn't outselling the BMW 5 Series by a factor of 3. The G80 runs a 2.5-liter turbo 4-cylinder or an available 3.5-liter twin turbo V6, producing 375 horsepower through an 8-speed automatic and standard all-wheel drive. The cabin is trimmed in quilted Napa leather with real aluminum and open-pore wood. The seats offer 16-way power adjustment with heating, ventilation, and massage. Standard, not optional. The adaptive air suspension floats over broken pavement with a composure that one automotive journalist described as indistinguishable from the BMW 5 Series in a blind test. But here's the downside nobody at Genesis wants to talk about. The dealer network is thin. Some cities don't have a dedicated Genesis showroom, which means you're getting serviced at a Hyundai dealer. Therefore, the ownership experience doesn't always match the car itself. And that gap matters when you're spending $58,000. The trade-off is the dealer network. Some cities don't have a Genesis showroom, so you're serviced at Hyundai, and resale pays the price for a badge the market hasn't fully accepted. But the car itself doesn't care about the badge. Same car as the BMW, half the price, 10-year warranty. Now, the next car is the BMW, and I'll be honest about exactly where it wins and where it doesn't. Number 7, BMW 5 Series 2024 to 2026. I could start this entry by listing features, but you already know the BMW 5 Series is a great luxury sedan. Everybody knows that. So instead, let me tell you the one thing BMW does better than every other car on this list, and the one thing it does worse. Better the driving experience. The 5 Series chassis is the benchmark for a luxury sedan that's genuinely enjoyable to drive. The steering has weight. The suspension finds a balance between comfort and engagement that the Genesis matches on paper, but can't quite replicate behind the wheel. The 48 12-volt mild hybrid system adds seamless electric boost. And the interior, with its curved 14.9-inch display and Harman Kardon surround sound, feels like sitting inside a piece of technology rather than a piece of furniture. Worse, the ownership cost. RepairPal puts the 5 Series at $1,166 per year in maintenance, more than double the Genesis G80. The air suspension, when it fails past warranty, costs $2,000 to $4,000 per corner to replace. And BMW's insistence on direct injection creates carbon buildup that requires walnut blasting every 60,000 miles, a $400 to $800 service that Toyota and Lexus engines simply don't need because they use port injection. Add the options list that inflates the price by $15,000 before you've picked a color, and the 5 Series becomes the sedan that's worth every penny for the first 3 years and every headache for the next 5. The best to drive, not the cheapest to keep. Now, want a luxury sedan that costs less to maintain than a Honda Civic? Yes, that exists, and it's next. Number 6, Lexus ES 350 2019 to 2026. Here it is. The car that gets the most disrespectful compliment in the automotive world. It's just a fancy Camry. Know what? It is. And that's the single best recommendation anyone has ever accidentally given a luxury sedan. Because the ES 350 shares the Camry's platform, the Camry's bulletproof 2GR FEV6, and the Camry's documented ability to reach 300,000 miles on oil changes and absolutely nothing else. RepairPal puts the annual cost at $551. Over 10 years, CarEdge estimates total maintenance at $5,926. For perspective, that's less than a single timing chain replacement on a BMW N63 V8. 1 decade of luxury sedan ownership for less than 1 repair on a competitor. But here's what nobody tells you about the ES 350. It's boring. Genuinely, profoundly, almost aggressively boring to drive. The steering is numb, the acceleration is adequate, the driving experience is what happens when engineers specifically design a car to never surprise you with anything, ever, for any reason. Therefore, it's the perfect car for anyone who wants luxury comfort without ever thinking about the car again. It's front-wheel drive only. Will never impress anyone at a dinner party. And the driving experience is so deliberately calm that enthusiasts call it appliance-grade transportation. But appliances don't break. That's the entire point. $5,926 for a decade. Now, the next car costs more, but delivers the one thing the ES deliberately left out: genuine excitement. Number 5, Mercedes-Benz E-Class, 2024 to 2026. The Mercedes E-Class has been the default "I've made it, but I'm not showing off" car for 3 decades, and the latest generation is the most comfortable version Mercedes has ever built. But I'm going to be honest with you about something most car channels won't say. The E-Class is not the best value on this list. It's here because at its best, nothing in this price range matches the way it isolates you from the outside world. The Airmatic air suspension on the E450 variant genuinely transforms broken roads into smooth ones. The Burmester surround sound system is among the finest in any car under $100,000. And the interior, with its MBUX system, ambient lighting in 64 colors, and a fragrance dispenser that circulates scented air, creates an atmosphere that makes every other car on this list feel like it's trying too hard or not trying enough. But the ownership math isn't pretty. Mercedes repair costs average $908 per year, according to RepairPal. The electronics, and there are many of them, develop gremlins past 60,000 miles that independent shops struggle to diagnose. And the options list can add $20,000 to the price before you've even picked a color. The honest truth is, the E-Class is a car you'll love for the first 60,000 miles and start negotiating with for the next 60,000. Because every electronic convenience becomes a potential repair bill once the warranty clock runs out. Beautiful, expensive. Worth it? Depends on your wallet. The next car is a Grand Tourer, and it shouldn't be on a comfort list at all, but it's here because its engine sounds like God clearing his throat. Number 4, Lexus LC 500, 2018 to 2026. This car has no business being on a comfort list. It's a 2-door Grand Tourer with a 5.0-liter naturally aspirated V8 producing 471 horsepower that revs to 7,300 revolutions per minute with an exhaust note that automotive journalists have called the best-sounding V8 in production. It's a sports car. It belongs on a performance list, but, and this is the twist, The LC 500 is also one of the most comfortable long-distance cruisers ever built. The adaptive variable suspension switches between sport and comfort modes so dramatically that the car has two completely different personalities. In comfort mode, the LC glides over highway imperfections with a composure that rivals the Lexus LS, absorbing expansion joints, rough patches, and broken pavement without transmitting a single vibration to the cabin. The seats are Alcantara and leather, 10-way adjustable, heated, and ventilated. And because this is a Lexus, which means it's a Toyota underneath, the 2URGS EV8 is documented past 200,000 miles with 0 major powertrain failures. A naturally aspirated V8 Grand Tourer with Lexus reliability. That combination exists nowhere else on Earth. The trade-off is obvious. 2 doors, no usable backseat, and fuel economy that makes Prius owners physically ill. You're buying this for 2 people only, but those 2 people will have one of the finest experiences money can buy. A V8 that sounds like poetry and lasts like a Toyota. The next car gives you everything the LC has, and plus a back seat, plus a warranty longer than your mortgage. Number 3, Genesis G90, 2023 to 2026. The Genesis G90 is the car that should make every German luxury executive lose sleep, because it does everything the S-Class does, at 40% less with a 10-year warranty, and every single feature included as standard. Not packaged, not optional, standard. The Germans charge $15,000 in options to match what the G90 includes for free. The 3.5-liter twin-turbo V6 produces 409 horsepower through a whisper-quiet 8-speed automatic. The front seats are 22-way power adjustable. The rear seats recline, heat, ventilate, and include a fold-out ottoman that turns the back seat into a bed. A Bang & Olufsen 26-speaker system fills the cabin. A fragrance diffuser circulates perfumed air. The adaptive air suspension makes potholes disappear, and the Ergo Motion seats adjust automatically during long drives to prevent fatigue, a feature that no German competitor offers at any price. But badge snobbery is real. The valet won't know what it is. Your neighbors might Google it. And the resale value reflects a market that hasn't caught up to what Genesis actually builds. Therefore, the G90 is the smartest luxury car you can buy. If you care about the car more than the reaction, the only thing working against the G90 is the name on the hood. The valet won't know what it is. Your neighbors might Google it, and resale reflects a market that hasn't caught up to what Genesis builds. But that's a market problem, not a car problem. Everything the S-Class offers at 40% less. Speaking of the S-Class, it's next, and I'll tell you exactly why it's still the benchmark and why it might not be worth the money. Number 2, Mercedes-Benz S-Class, 2021 to 2026. The Mercedes-Benz S-Class has been the benchmark luxury sedan since 1972. Every comfort technology that modern cars take for granted, airbags, ABS, adaptive cruise, active noise cancellation, heated armrests, all debuted in an S-Class first. When any manufacturer announces a new comfort feature, the industry asks one question: how does it compare to the S-Class? The E-Active body control on higher trims uses 48-volt active hydraulics to independently control each wheel's spring and damper. The car physically leans into corners, reducing lateral force on passengers and eliminating the sway that makes riders uncomfortable on winding roads. The seats offer 20-way adjustment, 10 massage programs, and a hot stone function that heats individual pressure points along your spine. Interior noise at highway speed, 64 decibels, and quieter than a conversation. But here's what the brochure won't tell you. The S-Class costs $1,166 per year to maintain. The air suspension replacement runs $3,000 to $5,000 per corner. And the electronics, all 27 of them, develop issues past warranty that cost more to diagnose than they cost to fix. Therefore, the S-Class is the best luxury sedan in the world for the first 3 years. After that, it becomes the most expensive. And here's the number nobody at the dealership mentions. An S-Class loses roughly $40,000 in 3 years. You're not just paying for the car, you're paying for the privilege of watching it become worth less every month. The benchmark, expensive to keep. Now, the number 1 car on this list costs half as much to maintain, lasts twice as long, and was built by engineers who balanced an engine with champagne glasses. Number 1, Lexus LS 500, 2018 to 2026. The Lexus LS 500 is the car that luxury journalists always rank second, and the car that mechanics always rank first. That gap between press coverage and professional respect is the entire reason the LS belongs at the top of this list, because the people who review cars for a living value excitement, And the people who fix cars for a living value the one thing the LS delivers better than anything else on earth: the absolute certainty that nothing will go wrong. The interior is handcrafted using Kiriko glass, hand-cut crystal panels inspired by traditional Japanese glasswork. The door panels use hand-pleated fabric that takes one craftsman an entire day to complete. 4 panels per car, 4 days of human labor for the door trim alone. The 28-way power-adjustable seats include heating, ventilation, and a shiatsu massage function. The 3.5-liter twin-turbo V6 produces 416 horsepower with a smoothness that makes you forget there's an engine running. But here's the honest downside. The LS is not exciting. It's not sporty. It won't make your heart race. The driving experience is deliberately, intentionally, almost philosophically calm. Therefore, it's the perfect car for anyone who has driven enough exciting cars to know that excitement is overrated and reliability is the real luxury. It's not sporty, the styling is conservative, and the infotainment lags behind Mercedes and BMW by a generation, a detail that bothers reviewers far more than it bothers owners who've stopped caring about screens and started caring about whether the car starts perfectly every morning for the next decade. It will. Mechanics rank it first, journalists rank it second, and that tells you everything about the difference between excitement and trust. So, which one should you actually buy? If you want value, the Genesis G90 gives you everything for 40% less. If you want reliability, the Lexus LS 500 will outlast everything else on this list by years. If you want the benchmark, the Mercedes S-Class is still the standard everyone else is chasing. And if you want the surprise, the Toyota Crown proves you don't need a luxury badge to get luxury comfort. Our honest pick? The Lexus LS 500. Not the flashiest, not the most exciting, but the one you'll still be driving perfectly 10 years from now, while every other car on this list has visited the mechanic twice. Comfortable enough to compete with a Rolls-Royce, reliable enough to compete with a Toyota, and not a single one will punish you for keeping it past the warranty. Which one are you buying? Comments. Subscribe. The next video covers the luxury cars that look comfortable but fall apart inside.